Jack that bleach. And here we go. Mr. Josh, anything interesting happened this week to ya?
Didn't do too much gaming-wise, except a few days I was able to spend some time with PSO2.
Cool. Still having fun?
Yeah, it's alright.
Still got its quirks?
Yeah.
Cool.
I think June 10th is when they're gonna do a patch
Have
or
they,
some type of maintenance.
Iterated any particulars?
I think it's supposed to help. Well, I'm hoping it'll improve the launcher with Xbox, because right now the workaround is to use a third-party launcher.
Right, because it goes to the Windows Store.
Yeah.
Which is...
Yeah. But I think the main issue is supposed to be some of the lag that's experienced when you're in the lobbies.
Oh, okay.
It gets pretty bad. When you're actually in the worlds, like, doing shit,
it's instanced, right?
It's fine. Yeah, but when you're in the lobbies, it
How
lags
many
so much.
people roughly are in the lobbies?
That I don't have an accurate number of.
But is it like a hub like Destiny? Like there's a lot of people?
Yeah, it's essentially a hub.
Like pick up quests there and everything?
Yeah, you can
that's
pick
cool.
quests, you can go to your little item shops or whatever.
Dope.
Yeah. So that, I think those two are the main gripes, aside from the UI being kind of confusing and weird. Yeah, it's not the best AI.
So you said, as far as you know, it was Sega first party that worked on it, huh?
To my knowledge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, because I think PSO is
an actual Sega franchise.
Yeah, I don't think that the third party does it.
It's not like Yakuza where Sega's done published every single one, but it's RGG Studios, obviously.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's all Sega.
Actually, say Sega.
Correct me if I'm wrong, though.
Was that the 90s when they would do that? The Sega, like that.
Yeah.
That was like some. Was that the commercials or something?
I think so.
Sega always had, if I recall correctly, because obviously we haven't seen a Sega commercial on TV outside of stuff they publish in a long time, because Sega hasn't had a console, obviously, since the Dreamcast. But I just remember, not just the stuff we see on AVGN, but I remember even growing up when I would see like Sega Saturn commercials and everything, they always had a weird overcompensation syndrome in all their commercials. It was always like, even if they weren't the best, it was always about being like, yeah, our dicks are bigger. Like, every single time. Nintendo, we always laugh at the Sega does what Nintendo don't and stuff like that, but they were always just really edgy in the marketing department. Nintendo was always a little wholesome and kind of like...
It's too bad it wasn't like Japan, because Japan had great Sega Saturn promos.
Did they?
Yeah, because they had their mascot character, Sega Tanishiro, who was the actor of Kamen Rider Ichigo, like the very first Kamen Rider.
Yeah. That's some nerdy shit I didn't know.
Yeah, I mean, you can find it on YouTube.
That's cool.
So, yeah, those commercials are actually fun compared to... I don't even remember the American Saturn commercials. I saw some and they were just weird.
It was always just really weird ones. They interpolated a lot of live action shit with their commercials too, and it was just really cringy.
I think I remember just had some guy with glasses and a cap, because that's how you're cool in the 90s, and he's just like, yeah, Saturn.
Yeah, and then I remember the only time I think Sony ever had like a live action mascot dude was when they had that fake CEO guy. The one who got fired because
they used to have the guy dressed as Crash Bandicoot.
Oh shit, I forgot about that. I guess I don't think about that because he's inside of a thing. But you're right, that is technically live action.
Yeah, when he would be outside. I think he would be outside the Sega building.
Like
or
trolling.
Nintendo. Yeah, he had the megaphone.
That's
he would
pretty
just
good.
be like trolling them.
Yeah, I just remember the weird CEO guy. Epic! And he was just always like talking about, I don't know. At least PlayStation actually did have their shit together, so there's that. But yeah, interesting. Anything else?
Aside from that, I decided to start watching Harley Quinn, and I'm caught up on that now.
For those, the animated one.
The animated series. Really good. Definitely recommend it.
Good. I've only heard good things, so thank goodness.
Yep. And, I think that's kind of it. Yeah, I think that's it.
Alrighty. Mrs. Mallory. I turned you into Mrs. You got married now.
Oh, that's news to me.
She didn't even invite us.
Nope. I mean, that's probably what's going to happen, but, Because she'll be like, this is for the museum, you fucks.
Thanks. Jeez.
This is for the witty.
Oh, gosh.
And she flushes our invitations down the toilet.
Didn't get married. Finished unpacking though, so that's been cool. I've been able to find my stuff now.
Nice.
Haven't gamed too much since I've been working and just unpacking. Not too much excitement. I did start eating vegetables this week, so that's cool.
Nice.
Trying to get healthier. So that's a thing.
Good. Yep.
That's about it in my life.
John?
Work and finish the bookshelf, put the finishing touches on that, and gonna try my hand at building a cabinet because someone gave me the idea that gun cabinets would be a good seller around here. So that's it.
Good. Oh, by the way, John, on a totally candid side note, try to remind me later, even if we get off this call and I forget. I had an idea for some of our projects that we were thinking about, so try to remind me later, because I don't want to say it on here, because that would spoil the thing. But yeah.
Will do.
Okay, cool. Me, not much also. I mean, I pretty much work, being a big old SJW on social media. Some people might call me because I'm so sensitive about what's going on lately. But,
yeah. I was actually trying not to bring that shit.
No, you're good. But just, I'm not going to go into it. I'm just saying, So because of that, just kind of, that's very draining, as we discussed earlier today.
Oh, yeah.
That's very draining.
It's been an emotionally draining week.
But anyways, on the other side of things, still haven't dropped a video, but I am at least playing a game again, very slowly. It was one of those things where the character creator was so in-depth that I literally spent like an hour and a half making the character, because that's always fucky when, sometimes things are too good, and you're kind of like, it's really hard to make a good character because there's so many sliders and everything. Yeah. The game, of course, I'm talking about is Outer Worlds, which finally dropped on Switch this past Friday. Not much time into the game, but what I will say is I've heard two different things. Some people say it's absolutely, atrocious and unplayable. Destructoid, I think, has a more fair statement, which is it gets the job done. And one thing I can say from the little that I played on Xbox and the quite a bit I watched from people that I like, Angry as Pat and everything, it's definitely fucking ugly. The game itself visually really loses it. When you play it docked, it's alright. It's definitely not as atrocious as it does look handheld. But thankfully they didn't cut any content, and the game does run fine performance-wise at a lock 30 as promised, 720 on handheld and 1080 on docked. However, the texture quality is pretty bad. Like, dirt and ground is like pretty scarce. When you talk to people and you're doing that POV view, it's very noticeably blurry. Just unfortunate sacrifices. Again, when you see stuff like Alien Isolation, The Witcher, and Skyrim, it really does make you wonder either what magic happened or what resources are people lacking. Yeah. What did Obsidian not have that caused this issue? Now, to be fair, The Outer Worlds was a very ambitious port, and this is kind of like the product of said ambition. Because I was very excited, but I should have probably been more worried than excited. But again, it's a competent enough port. The fact that I'm playing Outer Worlds, you got to look at it in this way. And I know that one NPC friend of mine is going to be very mad if he ever hears this. But I know that's not the greatest bar to be like, oh, it's great for this though, it's great for that though. But you have to understand, especially when we grew up, when handhelds first came out and we had fucking Game Boy, and then the few of us that had Game Gear and stuff like that. I had cousins who had it. I didn't actually own a Game Gear myself. How far things have come handheld-wise. When I see some of these games that I am playing handheld on Switch, like Skyrim, when I did my whole Sean Jarrett playthrough recently, it really was... I still would be, call it lame, but I was still very in awe about how great Skyrim looks on fucking Switch. It looks great. The draw distance is not bad at all. Obviously you're not playing on fucking PC and you're rendering the town next door already, but still, the game itself does overall look great. So it's I was really hoping for a bit more. The Witcher had some blurriness, but Outer Worlds definitely took it to that next level. Gets a bit blurry, and again, the textures are it's a bit rough to look at sometimes, but I'm hoping, since I waited this long and I kind of went all in on it, I am hoping that I can get through it competently enough. If not, I probably will pick it up next time it's on sale, because I just missed a good sale of it on PS4 for $20. So next time I find it for $20-$30, I might just rebuy it on PS4, but I will update you guys and see how much I could either tolerate it or couldn't anymore. Because other than that, I also I had it on PC already, so I rebought Divinity Original Sin 2, which looks fantastic on Switch, but I'm trying to stay away from that for now because I don't want to compare something that looks great to The Outer Worlds right now. I'm just trying to judge it as a game, and we'll see if the graphical capacity outweighs the fun, because the game itself is fun. So, John, I asked Mallory this last time while you were AWOL. How far did... I remember, if I recall correctly, you told me you kind of started to not care for Outer Worlds too much as it went on, right? Or did you kind of change your mind on that?
I thought about getting back into it fairly recently, but yeah, I went so hard on Fallout 4, it felt similar enough, but different still, that I kind of got bored. It felt a little repetitive after a while. Mm-hmm. I got fairly far. I was just going planet hopping and kind of side questing. I honestly don't remember where I got in the story. The last thing I remember is I convinced the mayor of the first settlement to up and quit so the rebels could take over. Oh,
there you go. If only we could do that with our president. All right. So, before we get into the gaming news, let's get through these plugs. Mr. Josh, where can everybody find your stuff on the internets?
Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch is at Joshiro Joestar. And YouTube is ShiroPlay5.
Mr. John?
_ Evil Dead Guy on IG, at Evil Dead Guy on Twitter.
Mallory?
You can find me on Instagram at awesome_Mally.
All right. And you can find all my stuff at ZD Rocker at all the places. SlimAsianEntertainment.com, I almost forgot my own plug, and DisconnectedCast.com, as it says on the back of my car, so you can do that. Alright, cool. So we're doing alright time-wise. Okay, so one of the first things that allegedly was reported at a meeting recently, Capcom has been proposed, as they are proposed a lot, whether or not they should bring some franchises back, or try their hand at a sequel, or reboot, or whatever. However, they have chosen to veto the following series, which were proposed constantly, which is Dino Crisis, Onimusha, and Mega Man, of course. Mega Man's been getting vetoed for for ages.
They're just like, aren't you happy enough with the collections that we've been making?
That's the thing. Capcom, even though they've definitely started rising up again, they still have weird little kerfuffles like that, where it's just like, come on, guys.
Just at least give me a Battle Network and Star Force collection.
There you go.
Please. At least give me that. I know a bunch of people are still wanting there to be like an X9 or Mega Man 12, but I don't know.
Hey, One Step from Eden, speaking of Battle Network, did you ever play more?
Not since we last talked about it.
I was just going to ask if it gets any better or more competent, because I remember you were saying it was a bit fuzzy. Like the way it's a little all over the place. It's a little disconnected.
A bit, yeah. So. Disconnected, you say.
God damn it.
Yeah.
Mallory, John, any of those franchises particularly dear to your heart?
Mega Man is, but since they're not bringing it back, then, you know.
Then I guess not.
I guess. Yeah, right? Like.
Yeah. John?
It's sad. I want a new Mega Man game.
You.
So.
Mega Man, and I would like to see another Dino Crisis. That was pretty cool. I never got to play those.
Oh damn, yeah. No, Dino Crisis is pretty well. Let me be very specific. Dino Crisis 1 is great. Dino Crisis 2 was okay, but it really just felt like they took Dino Crisis 1, upped the textures a bit because it's on PS2. And then, it was on PS1 also, never mind. So, all it did was it felt like it flipped it around. The one that came out on PS2, was Dino Crisis 3, where they were just like, we don't even know what we're doing anymore, because they had, it was like more sci-fi, you had like jetpacks and shit as you're like flying around, fighting the dinosaurs, and I was just like, that sounds like it should have been cool, but it wasn't. It wasn't. I'll never forget, in fucking Dino Crisis 1, spoilers for fucking that ancient-ass game, one of my favorites. This happens really early on, but I just still remember it as a very memorable thing, because I had played Resident Evil, got very scared of it because I'm a dumb kid, and I say that like I don't get scared by Resident Evil now, but I was playing it, I was just like, oh, but dinosaurs though, because I was a huge Jurassic Park mark when I was a little kid, and I was like, oh, this is really cool though. And I was just like, oh, it's a little scary, and then whatever. But there's one part where you're in the dude's office, and then a T-Rex just fucking crashes through the window, and it's just like, now you're just like back to the, your back's against the wall, you're trying to figure out what to do because it's your first time doing this level, and there's just a big ass T-Rex head like fucking sticking through the thing trying to get you, and you're just like, that's what I remember being like, all right, this game's gonna get fucking scary. One thing I will say though about early Silent Hills, early Resident Evil, and Dino Crisis, you actually had to remember shit. Like, remember when you would get a manual and you had a notes part on the back of the manual? That one you really needed for that, because you really did have to remember, where the fuck does this yellow key... What did I need a yellow key card for? Oh, it's like fucking like a whole building back, 3 rooms to the left, and whatever. Like, you would get really severely fucked and lost, and especially back then, the internet wasn't so easily accessible. You could go to Game Facts, Game FAQs, whatever you want to call it.
Cheat
and,
CC.
Yeah, you could go to those places and try to get some help. But the time it took to load, it's not quite like right now where if you do get stuck on something, you just pop up your phone, you just fucking
look up
Google
a video,
how the fuck do I get this shit video. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, back then you really had to remember shit. Like, you had to remember what key card goes where am I trying to get to again, because that happened. Vincent and I, who's that? Vincent and I recently, what the fuck am I saying? When we tried to do an LP of Dino Crisis, we did fairly good for a while because we were trying to do it without guides. We're trying to see like, hey, how good do we either remember this, or are we at survival horror? And we got pretty damn far in it. But unfortunately, as we got about maybe halfway, 3/4 through the game, we had to look up a guide because it got too tough. We were just like, we've been going back and forth through all these things, and it turned out it was like a room that was at like the top. The door was at the top of another room, but sometimes with the pre-rendered backgrounds, you can't tell what's real and what isn't. So, anyways, that game can still be pretty tough, if anything, for the puzzle aspect of it. But really good game. Ends kind of weird, but whatever.
Yeah.
Hopefully they port it to Switch, though. That is, if they're gonna fuck us with all this stuff, they might as well at least port it to the Switch. Onimusha Warlords is on Switch, so hopefully Dino Crisis and all the Mega Man games are on there. So.
Like almost every Mega Man game that they've at least released collections for is on the Switch, pretty much.
Yep,
like
minus Battle Network and...
Battle Network and Star Force aren't
That's
on there.
That's it. And once they were to do that, that would be pretty much complete.
Yeah, you can get all the main Mega Man games.
Which is great.
I don't know about Mega Man and Base. I don't know if that ever came to America. Oh, you can't get Legends. Legends is not... They never did that.
Oh.
But the main series, and then...
Was that PS1?
Yeah. And then the X series, you can get those. And
Hell
then
yeah.
the Zero and ZX.
There's some pretty dope entries in that one.
Yeah. I was going to say, though, while it does kind of bite that they won't do like another Dino Crisis, I think I agree with not doing Onimusha. Only because I think there's kind of that saturation of Japanese swordsmen fighting demons.
Ghost of Tsushima, Sekiro, that
Sekiro,
whole run of
Neo,
fucking, all that,
you're just
it's a bit overboard.
Yeah,
which is funny, right?
And it's just going to raise the expectations from Capcom. So
plus, back in the day, Onimusha was one of the few. That was actually where we had to go to get our weeb fix.
On
shit.
Because I never beat Onimusha, but I played it and it was pretty good.
Yeah. I think there was one with Jean Reno, right? Like,
yeah, that was
the third one.
Mm-hmm.
That character was weird.
Yeah. Apparently they dubbed over him in the American one, in the U.S. release. It's like, why?
It's just... It still said starring Jean Reno.
It's like, why would you do that?
It was a rights thing, I think.
Maybe. That's so
dumb. I think it was a licensing thing.
Yeah.
They had his voice licensed everywhere but America.
Jeez.
Yeah. Let's see.
Well, I think that was also the era where Capcom was just kind of like, America doesn't care about other countries.
That's true.
Because when they did Sengoku Basara, they completely removed the whole Japanese Sengoku historical...
Which is hilarious considering it's Sengoku fucking Basara.
Yeah. They just named it Devil Kings.
Devil Kings. Yeah, that shit was crazy.
Yeah.
Was Gak ever involved in Sengoku Basara?
No, but TM Revolution was.
Oh, okay, yeah. I knew some J-pop star.
Yeah, he did the song for it. And then when they made the fighting game, every time you do the instant kill, the fucking TM Revolution would start playing.
God damn it all.
It was great.
Oh, that guy. Good stuff. The not gacked.
Yeah.
Sadly, TM Revolution will always be not gagged.
Jeez.
Sega announced the Game Gear Micro is going to be coming out in Japan. Looks like not great.
It looks tiny.
It's too small. Yeah, I believe
Yeah.
it's like just a few inches by like an inch. It's like an inch tall and like maybe 3 inches
literally
wide.
a Game Gear for ants.
It's a Game Gear for ants. So not just is it not going to be a pleasant experience in terms of the way you're going to play it, especially with our big old hands.
Yeah.
But
big fat American fingers.
exactly that's definitely going to be a very Japanese dainty hands thing, or what some people would say. So y'all heard about that, right? That Lowe's guy, he's one of the top people at Lowe's, or was, right?
Yeah.
And there was a controversy with him like late last year or earlier this year, because he said that the new like smaller version of a tool they had would be perfect for Mexicans who have smaller hands.
Oh jeez.
Yeah. So there was,
gosh.
So there was that. So anyways, that's who also the Game Gear Micro.
It was made for Marco Rubio.
Oh god. Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, so here's the thing. Not just does it look like trash. You only get one game. So far, all these minis that are coming out are like, you're even. They had the TurboGrafx mini come out. Who the fuck asked for that? But anyways, the most recent one is the TurboGrafx 16 mini, which came out. But those all had multiple games. Mm-hmm. Each Game Gear Micro, the 3 versions that have been announced so far, are each going to have one game each, and it's the only one you can play.
So dumb.
And they still haven't even confirmed if they're full games.
Ugh.
So
it doesn't
it's
sound
assumed,
weird.
But I've never seen the confirmation yet.
Yeah.
I just think this whole micro thing's getting out of control. Like it was cool with the mini, the NES mini was kind of cute.
Yeah.
Then maybe the SNES mini. But then like again, it's just like now this Sega tried to get in on it. Fucking whoever the fuck owns TurboGrafx now tried to get on it. It's just weird now. It's just kind of like how many like. Mm-hmm. To me, the ones that deserve it are the ones that are harder to get, right? Because with the Nintendo stuff, you could argue, Virtual Console. But stuff like the Dreamcast, for example. I don't know how the licensing is on that stuff. I'm pretty sure that's probably why they won't do it. But like a Dreamcast Mini, I do miss playing Dreamcast games, so that's something I would like to see kind of back. Yeah, exactly. Sonic Adventure, stuff like that. Although, from what I've heard, playing Sonic Adventure now, I played it like 10 years ago, but apparently just like it's just garbage. Like it was a fun game, nostalgic memory wise, but apparently it plays like shit.
Yeah, I played it on the GameCube. They had that one Sonic like collection thing, and
even then,
like, it was
so you can imagine 2020 what Sonic Adventure feels like now.
Yeah, Sonic Adventure 2 was still all right. It still felt all right. They always had that shitty camera though.
Yep, that's one of the biggest banes of both games' existence. Yeah. The camera's awful. Then again, a lot of the 3D Sonics have that issue because not just was Shadow the Hedgehog mechanically broken, but the camera was also bad, which also didn't help. But yeah, the camera just is nuts, and especially in Shadow where you're moving a lot more.
I think the camera has always been the bane of like Sega. Yeah, because I think I even remember even playing PSO on the Dreamcast. The camera kind of sucked sometimes.
You were like, "Why is this a thing?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think you always had to keep tapping the shoulder button to get it to go behind your character, so you're just running around, you're just tapping it. It's bad.
Yep. You know what? Even though we've just gone on a couple of Sega tangents already at the beginning and now, Mal, John, do you guys have much Sega experience? Have you always been like Nintendo, then maybe PlayStation, Xbox people, or have you guys had any Sega console experiences?
My sister had...
No, go ahead.
My sister had a Sega Genesis and what other one did she have? She had another one, but my dad used to play that game Worms on there all the time, and we used to watch him play it, but that was really all I had with the Sega, other than the handheld one, and we used to play Sonic on there a lot. But then I only had like Game Boys and stuff like that, because my sister always got Sega and I always got Game Boys, so...
I like how you said that y'all had to watch him play Worms, and he's all like, hey, come gather around and watch me play Worms.
But Dad, I want to go
it wasn't the
lunch.
best.
Shut up!
Like, no, you're gonna
I
sit here.
think I was like 6. It was like right before my dad actually like left. And he would have us watch him play Worms.
That got dark really
not the
fast.
best game or anything. I know, I'm sorry guys. It's true. Like that's one of the only memories I have of my dad.
John?
Anyway.
Isn't Worms a multiplayer game too?
I mean, I don't know about on Sega, but yeah, it is.
Like, can we play? No, you only get to watch. Watch me.
My Worms. My cousin had a Dreamcast, so I would play Crazy Taxi and not Soul Calibur, Soul Edge. That's the first one, right?
If that was on PlayStation, though, I think.
Yeah, Soul Blade.
Yeah,
Soul
I think.
Blade.
Yeah, I think it's a weird thing where like the arcade version was Soul Edge, and then when it came to console, it was Soul Blade. But Soul Calibur was Dreamcast.
So Soul Calibur, then probably Johnny Boy.
Okay, yeah, we played that one. And then my aunt had the handheld, so I would play like Sonic and stuff on that. And like she loves Disney, so like a shit ton of Disney games.
Oh, nice. One thing I'll give Sega credit for is the Game Gear. Definitely on a fucking graphics level murdered the Game Boy. Now, granted, it came out quite a bit after, but when it came to handhelds, if that thing didn't eat batteries like a motherfucker, because that handheld console was pretty much only playable with the AC adapter, because that thing took like 4 or 6 or some bullshit amount of fucking AA batteries. Or was it a bigger battery? I don't remember.
I think it took double A's.
Double A's, I believe. But I think I want to say
it was 4 double A's.
It was 4 double A's. But
really, I always thought it was like 6.
4 to 6.
Okay, I think Game Boy was 4. Game Gear was 6.
Was definitely 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the point being is the 6 batteries. Just for the point of what I'm saying is that the 6 batteries on the Game Gear lasted you like an hour tops, as opposed to like the Game Boy. That's, of course, a very, like, I didn't time it, obviously. I'm just saying that's what it felt like. As opposed to the Game Boy. I remember slapping some AAAs in there. AAAs. In my hand, it broke. Yeah. Anyways, so I was thinking about the Pocket took AAAs, sorry. I also misspoke. I'm just trying to cover it up. But anyways, the AA's, the 4 AA's that I would put in the Game Boy seemed to last a while.
Yeah.
I remember going on some trips with the fucking fam, and I would be playing Pokemon in, the backseat as we're going, God knows where. And just playing it, and just, of course, as it got darker and the light went away and you were struggling for every last ounce of fucking street light or whatever to play your fucking Game Boy, because I didn't have the worm light. Yeah. So.
I think I heard that the Game Gear also had kind of like shitty speakers that would go out.
It was pretty... Well, yeah. What would happen is the Game Boy limited the volume at a good level. The Game Gear just basically didn't limit the volume well enough, so when you max the volume on that, it got really tinny, because if you've ever used a cheap speaker and you play music really loud on it or whatever, and it has that really tinny scratchiness to it, to the quality, that's what Game Gear did, because it didn't cap it at a proper level.
Because I think I remember watching some videos on Metal Jesus Rocks where they talked about some modded Game Gears where I think there was one where you can fix the battery issue, but I remember that they would fix the speakers on them.
Oh, okay, yeah, so yeah. Take-Two Studios. For some reason, the only game they've made a lot of games, but the one that comes to mind, whatever. The one that comes to mind is Army of Two for no reason, just because I don't even know if anyone remembers Army of Two, but
I remember hearing about it. Never played it.
There's Kane and Lynch, and then Army of Two is just the same shit, like co-op, 2 people, third person shoot bangs. Anyways, so Take-Two, they've done this in the past, but they recently did it again, where what they did is Star Theory Games was working on Kerbal Space Program 2. Kerbal Space Program is a very popular but very complicated fucking... You gotta have some actual science brains to play that game, because the whole point is you have your little green minion dudes, and you're basically trying to successfully launch a ship into space.
Yeah.
It's pretty much the only objective of the game, and it's that fucking hard, because you're gonna have failed launches, ship explosions, blah blah blah. Anyways, so they're trying to make Kerbal 2, but Take-Two basically tells them that they're gonna, cut funding, or basically they're putting the kibosh on Kerbal 2, and they did this through LinkedIn, and we basically gave them job offers. So basically what they're gonna do is they're gonna kill off Star Theory Games, are offering half the staff jobs, or they're offering a good amount of the staff jobs at Take-Two, and then Take-Two is going to do Kerbal 2.
Yeah.
So they're basically IP jacking, but technically, since this is the problem of a smaller studio being owned by a bigger one or a bigger publisher, is the fact that this can happen. So they're basically like, yeah, you guys don't need to be wasting resources on that. And I guess, I don't know if it's just irony or if they just were totally oblivious and just wanted to name it this for whatever reason, but they named the new studio Intercept Studios. When they intercepted Kerbal 2 from... Yeah. It's just either really overt or just fucked and, you know, whatever. Either total accident or just a big, like, just being a dick, basically. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, the new Intercept Studios has announced that they'll be taking over the development of Kerbal 2. So, basically, some people are going to lose their jobs that are no longer going to be at Star Theory Games, which is going to basically be defunct. And then the rest are now going to be working for Take-Two, because Take-Two, rather than get a cut of the profits from Kerbal 2, which will likely be a smash hit, I don't know anymore, wanted all of the cake, you know, instead of getting some of the cake. So, yeah, fuck them. That's just such a dick move. And then again, just the either super bold or super oblivious move to call it Intercept Studios is just something that's just too much. It just seems like fake.
A bit too on the nose.
Yeah, exactly. Like way too on the nose. Yeah. I'm assuming none of us have played Kerbal. I know I've never been smart enough to even try it. It's always a special on Steam, but I've just been too intimidated to, like, you know. The only dude I've ever seen actually play it at work is, like, pretty smart dude. He's, like an engineer and everything, or going to school to be an engineer, so, like, he's pretty good, but I can see why that interests him. Yeah. But me, I'm just going to be like, this shit keeps blowing up, fuck this game. I'm going to, like, you know, give up, but yeah. Mal, John, no Kerbal for you guys?
I'd never even heard of it before today.
Yeah.
Sounds cool, though.
Yeah. For sure, faux show. EA Access is coming to Steam, so now I believe it eventually came out on PlayStation, but it originally launched on Xbox. It's EA's $5 a month, and you get to play their select library of games. When it first came out, it was a bit scarce. Like, the only things really worth playing was, like, Spore and that one with the unicorn, Peggle or whatever. Those are, like, two of the only games, but and like, a FIFA game from, like, 5 years before. It was weird, right? It's like, why would you want to play, like, a 5-year-old FIFA game? But anyways, but they've since added, and there's a decent library on there, but it comes down to giving EA money. So there's always that moral struggle. So yeah, now EA Access is trying their hand at Steam. We'll see how that goes. Kingdoms of Amalur, which was a really good but slightly underrated game from 2012 on Xbox 360, has actually been announced for a remaster. At the moment, I believe the rights are by Microsoft and Xbox, so I'm almost fairly sure it'll be an exclusive. Because Kingdoms of Amalur was ported to Steam, but I don't think it was on PlayStation.
Because, like, that studio doesn't even exist anymore.
Yes, correct. They died. Oh. They now work for some, like, graphics design firm or whatever. They were, like, sold out.
Then I thought, like, Rhode Island, like, was able to, like, absorb it or something.
Oh, right, yeah. They took a big loan out. So for some reason, I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, for some reason, the studio that made Kingdoms of Amalur: The Reckoning took money from the state of Rhode Island.
Because they were supposed to guarantee, like, a lot of jobs.
Yes.
And that didn't happen.
That didn't happen. So
then I think they got sued.
Yes. It definitely led... It was on the path of the downfall, was because they ended up owing basically everything to Rhode Island. So basically, because of all the legal troubles the studio went through, despite the game being a pretty damn awesome game... a lot of people were caught off guard about this announcement. Very much in vein of Red Faction Remastered and... yeah. And what do you call it? The Darksiders 2 Definitive Edition. No. They like to do shit like that, and so because of that, this one just didn't even try. It's going to be called Kingdoms of Amalur: Re-Reckoning. So... there you go. Cool. Jim Sterling had a little bit about it that I found that was a fair point, is anything's better than just calling it X Remastered, whatever remastered, because that's just fucking lazy. Yeah. You might as well try to make up a pun or a subtitle to just justify doing it. So yeah, we'll see. It's supposed to come out in July, I believe, and right now only an Xbox version has assumed, because I think Microsoft's the one funding the project for now. I would love to see it on Switch or something, or maybe even just the OG one ported to Switch. But yeah, I think more people should play that. It's it was a really fun, not really character action, but it was like a third-person action game. And one of the cool things about it was how much gear and customizability there was. There were so many pieces of armor, so many different weapons. Like, there was a lot of, like, you felt like that character was yours. Even though he was a named narrative character, the way you could play the character was so different every single time. Everyone kind of felt like that was their version of the character. So, nobody here, Kingdom Amalur? No Josh, John, Mal? Anyone played that?
I haven't played it. I was interested in it.
Okay, so you've at least heard of it.
When it first came out. But if they do the remastered version, I'll play it.
Johnny boy?
Oh, negative.
Alright. Bobby Kotick, head of Activision Blizzard, so you can imagine a very morally just man. A bunch of shareholders and staff under him have moved for a motion to have his pay cut because they feel that he is much overpaid. He made in one. He's actually one of the richest CEOs in America. So there's that. And he pulled in one of the things that he was most notorious for is one of the many things he's notorious for is the fact that in one year when he pulled in one of his top pays ever because all his stuff is performance based. He pulled in $30.1 million in a year one time and laid off like a quarter of the staff at Activision Blizzard that same year, despite the fact that obviously they did well enough that if he didn't take such a big cut of the cake, there would have been enough for everybody. So because of all this kind of stuff, people are kind of speaking up, including some of his like cabinet basically, and are like, this guy kind of does get paid a little too much. Yeah. And even then, I mean, you're talking even if he took a pay cut, not just would he be able to float more jobs and more studio for Activision Blizzard, who are shitty people, but not just would be able to create more jobs that way. This dude would still be like raking in like $10 million a year, which I guess maybe in CEO terms that doesn't sound like a lot, but $10 million a year is $10 million a year. It's just crazy the fact that some people can just have that kind of money and still want more. One of the things that was kind of one of their big shareholders brought forward as a point to kind of justifying lowering his pay is that he seems to get these big pays, even though his job is one of the defenses that his bootlickers brought up was, well, his shit's performance based. Activision Blizzard are killing it every year. Ergo, he makes a lot. But what one of their hugest chunks shareholders brought up is the fact that based on what he's actually supposed to kind of do versus what's happening, his part of the job is technically failing. He isn't really accomplishing all his duties and still reaping the rewards. So that's why a lot of people are just kind of fed up and probably want the money to kind of move down a bit. Obviously, everything has its intentions, so I'm sure these aren't all noble reasons they want to get him his pay cut. But, you know, the interesting thing, though, is they've kind of got a lot of investor groups and everything on board, and so they're moving a motion to try to cut his pay. So we'll see where that goes. I mean, let's face it. If your shit is performance-based, and you're not... This is the whole 2K or Gearbox thing again, where Randy Pitchford claims that, you know, because everyone takes a lower pay because big bonus and dividends at Gearbox, but Randy Pitchford claims that although the CEOs all got their bonuses, that everybody else didn't, though, because there was some sort of weird X factor that wasn't hit. You know, bullshit, basically. So, yeah, Bobby Kotick, Randy Pitchford, all a bunch of asshats. Like, just... when you see them, you kind of go, this is a shitty person just by looking at him. Yeah. I mean, Bobby Kotick is the guy who has a hard time dating people because when you Google Bobby Kotick, it's a bunch of him rendered as devils on Google Images. So, yeah, fuck him. But yeah, no, he's definitely an awful person. But then again, I already said the head of Activision Blizzard. What more do you need? Yeah. Kind of to make that point. So... our final topic, and it's not really going to be about... So, Call of Duty, the new one, has been announced. There's obviously, oh, what a surprise, another fucking Call of Duty. Another year, another Call of Duty. at this point, it seems like they're almost doing like several a year. Sometimes it feels like it anyways. They may not be, but it feels like that's how saturated.
It might have probably been because of
Warzone, which is technically, exactly. It's technically Blackout, standalone, free to play. But
yeah.
Anyway, so they're doing a Call of Duty 2020 proper. Some alleged pre-alpha footage did leak, but has since been kind of like scrubbed off the net, kind of. It's really hard to find. I'm sure if you go on 4chan or something, you could probably still find it. Mm-hmm. But, of course, they want to show it's not been ready. But based on that, they said that it confirmed the return of Nuketown, Jungle. I'm assuming those are modes. I don't really play Call of Duty, so, Hey, Jarrett, if you're listening, let me know what the fuck those are. I'm assuming they're game modes. And yeah, okay, so my main topic out of that I was going to say, and I'm going to answer last. Oh, that was the other thing that people were saying is that they feel like I'm like, and I know you guys aren't, but they feel like sometimes that I'm fishing for a certain answer or that I'm baiting you guys into that. You guys would just say whatever you guys are going to say. They obviously don't know you guys. But, so I'm going to answer last now because, I'm fucking rigging the vote. But I'm going to go around. We're going to go Josh, Mallory, John, then me. Are you guys a fan of League? Like, when you see this League, like, you say you're waiting for that next, whatever game, Final Fantasy, Yakuza, whatever. Do you actually click or go to when you hear, the new Kingdom Hearts opening cinematic leaked? Do you, I don't know why I chose Kingdom Hearts, but, whatever game you're looking forward to. Do you go there, or are you the type to be like, no, not until...
Usually initially I'll kind of ignore it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, unless it turns out to be like a discussion or just eventually I'm just like, okay, fuck it, I'm just gonna watch. But usually, most of the time when that shit happens, I'll just be like, oh, okay, and then just kind of go on. And so
then it depends on the circumstance from there.
Yeah, it varies from there, but usually, somebody will ask me about it, and I'm like, oh, no, I heard it got leaked, but I haven't watched it or anything, so.
Okay. Mallory, what's your take on leaks? Are you a fan of it? Are you the type to check it out, or are you the type to avoid?
I avoid it, because I like to see, and that goes with, games, movies, even TV shows. I kind of stay away from, I'll go on a media blackout unless it's something like, hey, it's been delayed. But I usually just won't even look at it because I don't see a point in it because I'm going to buy the game anyways or watch that movie. I don't really want it leaked because I don't want spoilers because I try to do a whole playthrough before I even talk to anybody about it.
Okay. John, this is pretty pertinent to you because obviously, all the cinematics of Last of Us 2 leaked recently. What's your take on leaks and premature teases and stuff like that? Are you a fan or do you try to avoid it?
So, I'll go check out a leak or a preview or whatever if it's a game I'm not interested in. If it, entices me a little bit.
Okay, maybe it might change your mind.
Last of Us, yeah. But with Last of Us, I haven't looked at anything. I looked at one post about what the story could be, and that's it. I'm just waiting until it comes out.
Okay, cool. Yeah, me, I'm probably abnormally against any type of leak or whatever. I even have this is probably also has to do with my OCD, and I don't even mean that sardonically. I mean that actually, because, for example, not just games, games for sure. If it's something I'm really looking forward to, if Deadly Premonition 2 comes out in a month, which I'm super hyped about, but if that shit was to leak and they were just oh, but you'll know the answer to whether or not they're going to cover what happened in D4 or something, or oh, this is really cool to know now, I'm still going to be nah, I'm good. I gotta, even if it's fucking 80 hours into the game, I just gotta wait till I get there. And I'm really extreme to the point where even with music artists I obviously primarily with K-pop stuff, there are certain groups because the way K-pop's they're on a calendar to tease before a release comes out, all the way up to even having song previews and a preview of each. There's a little sampler that comes out of every song on the album, a snippet of each one. And there are certain groups, not all, that's what's a little weird about it, but there are certain groups that I refuse to even listen to the teaser to, and I just wait till the thing actually comes out. So I'm definitely pretty against it. I would say that if anything, I would probably be on board with what John was saying, where I'll check it out if it's a game I don't give a shit about, which kind of doesn't explain why I didn't watch The Last of Us 2 stuff. But anyways, but yeah, if I don't care about it, I usually will check it out. If it's even slightly, maybe it's just because I had no interest in it really at all. But yeah, that's pretty much that. I was just curious, just because I do know that there is a scene out there that exists that are like really into, like, they got to know now. They got what happens in Rise of Skywalker. I got to know before the movie even comes out. Guess what? Nothing. What happens in this game? I gotta know. I don't get those kind of people. I feel like those are the same people who get pleasure out of beating GTA with cheats. Like, I feel like that's it. Like, what satisfaction did you get out of that? Some satisfaction, I guess. You use an aim assist bot online shooters, you think you're good, I guess.
Yeah, they're like, oh man, did you see the leak for the new Marvel movie? It's like, why?
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, it's almost like someone, like, ruining some sort of, like, big monster movie, even though you ask them not to, and then they kind of still mention something, even though you just told this guy, hey, I'm kind of maybe don't want to know what happens between Kong and Godzilla, and maybe that guy still posts something, and you're kind of like, God damn it. But other than that...
for you.
Oh yeah, and then you have a friend delete it.
Have your friend delete it for you.
Yeah.
Was that when we went to go see Shubs and Bill?
Yeah. No, wait, no.
Yeah,
or MC Chris. No, that's the same shit.
Buc-ee's.
Oh.
Yeah,
was that
we went to
Buc-ee's
Buc-ee's, yeah.
Okay.
Had Mallory delete his messages.
So
I was like,
good.
do it, I don't want to lay my eyes on it.
I know, fuck off. That's just so annoying. To me, that's one of the most disrespectful things you can do as a alleged friend, is to just be like, the dude told you... Yeah, is this to be like, hey, I fucking said no. Yeah. Like, I don't want to equate it into anything brash, but no, like, when someone says no, that should probably... Alright, anyways, on that note, we will catch you guys every Monday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. And until the next episode, we will catch you guys then. Until then, see ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye again. I'm saying bye for no reason.
Refreshing.